This is the Edexcel GCSE Maths Foundation tier paper, paper 3, so a calculator paper, from Monday the 12th of November 2018. So question 1, write a number in each box to make the calculation correct. So 56.3 plus what equals 100. So 0.7 will take us up to 57. Another 3 would take us up to 60, and then the 4 would take us to up to 100. So let's just double check we've got that right. 56.3 added together with 43.7. 3 and 7 is 10, so 0 carry the 1. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 5 add 4 and 1 is 10, so we do indeed get 100. Now for part 2, 2 sevenths add 5 sevenths equals a whole. Okay, 7 over 7 is a whole, and when we're adding fractions with the same denominator, same bottom number, you just add the numbers on top. Question 2. Well, 3% means 3 out of 100, so writing 3 out of 100 as a fraction is just 3 over 100. Question 3, well, we're going to use our calculator for this, so we're going to use the button on the calculator that looks like that. So, press that button, put in 1.44 equals, and we get 6 over 5. Press the SD button, and that tells us that the answer is 1.2. Question 4, well, there are a couple of ways of doing this using your calculator. You can either use the fractions button that looks like that, the bottom one shaded in, and pop an eighth into that, so 1 into the top and 8 into the bottom using the arrow keys. Multiply that by 720, and that would give you the answer of 90. Or alternatively, you could realise that an eighth just means dividing by 8. So you could have done 720 divided by 8. That would also give you 90. Question 5. Now part A, a shape like this where you've got sort of a three-dimensional rectangle is called a cuboid. Alright, it would be a cube if it was squares on all the sides. It's a cuboid when some of them are rectangular. Now write down the number of edges of this shape. Well, we've got 4 over on the left, 4 over on the right, and then obviously the 4 horizontal ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 12 edges. Question 6. So on the probability scale below, mark with a cross the probability the dice will land on an odd number, and it's a fair dice. Well, we've got 3 odd numbers on a dice, haven't we? 1, 3 and 5. So that's 3 out of 6, which is a half. Part B, write down the probability the dice lands on a number greater than 4. So that's either 5 or 6. So that's 2 out of 6. So that would be fine as your final answer, or if you've chosen to simplify it, you didn't have to, but if you did, the answer would be a third. Question 7. So Sean is 1.88 meters tall. Now there are 100 centimeters in a meter, so Sean is actually 188 centimeters tall. David is 6 centimeters taller, so we're going to add on 6 onto that, and that gives us 194 centimeters. Now the question doesn't spell out how we should give the answer, whether we should give it in centimeters or meters, so it's completely up to you. So you could either write down 194 centimeters, or you could have written down 1.94 meters. Either will do, but you must include the units for your calculation. Question 8. So 2 pens cost £2.38. So I think the best thing to do is just to work out how much 1 pen costs. So obviously to do that, we're just going to halve the £2.38. So £2.38 divided by 2, and we get £1.19. Now he wants to buy 20 pens. So 20 pens, well, if 1 pen costs £1.19, 20 pens is going to be 20 times £1.19. So £1.19 times 20 equals £23.80. Now 5 folders cost £5.60. So again, I think the safest way, just go back and work out how much one folder costs. There are other ways of doing it, but this is a safe way. So one folder costs, so 5 folders cost £5.60. One folder is going to be £5.60 divided by 5, which is £1.12. And he's going to buy 20 folders. So if one folder costs £1.12, 20 folders is going to be £1.12 times 20, which is £22.40. So he's got to buy 20 pens and 20 folders. The 20 pens are £23.80 and the 20 folders are £22.40. So let's add those up. So 0, 8 and 4 is 12, so 2 carry the 1. 3, 4, 5, 6, £46.20. Of course, you could have used your calculator for that, of course. So it's going to cost him £46.20. He's got £50. Does Ben have enough money? So yes, Ben does have enough money. He needs to spend something like that. He needs to spend £46.20 and he has £50, something like that. Question 9. So for part A, write down the name of shape E. Now, when you've got two sides that are parallel and two sides that aren't parallel, that's called a trapezium. Trapezium. Now for part B, two of the shapes are congruent. Write down the letters of these two shapes. Now congruent means that you're exactly the same shape and size, but you might just be upside down or rotated a bit. So just imagine that you cut out all of these shapes and you could just move them around. Which two would fit on top of each other? Well, C and D would, wouldn't they? They're both right-angled triangles with the shorter lengths being 3 each. Question 10. So we're reflecting this shape in the mirror line. So these 2 points are exactly on the mirror line, so they don't move. Now this point here is 1 away from the mirror line, so that goes one away the other direction. Same with this point here, 1 away. This point here is 2 away, so we'll go 2 away, as will this one here. So just joining all those points together, we get that shape there. So 30% of the people at the meeting are men, so that must mean that 70% at the meeting are women. Okay, so 70% are women and 70% is the 28 women. Now, we want to work out the total number of people who are at the meeting. Okay, now 70% are women. Obviously the other 30% are men, as we're told in the question, so we need to be able to work out what 30% is. So I think the simplest thing to do, if this is what 70% is, then you just need to go and change it to either 1% or 10%, just something to allow you to work out what the other 30% was. So I think I'm going to, on this occasion, just work out what 10% would be. So how do I go from 70% to 10%? I divide by 7. So 28 I need to divide by 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So 10% it would be 4 people. Now 30% are men. How do I go from 10% to 30%? Well, I multiply by 3. So the number of men is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. So there are 28 women, 12 men, So that gives me 40 people in total. Now there are other ways to do this. You could have decided to go straight from 70% to 100%. So you could have divided by 7 and then multiplied by 10. That would have taken you straight to the answer. Or as I said before, you might have decided to go back to 1% and then forward again. So as long as you just are sensible with the proportions, you'll get the final answer of 40. So question 12. So we need to draw an accurate pie chart. Now when we draw a pie chart, we've got to fill the whole pie, so we've got to fill the full 360 degrees. So we need to make sure our table has got a column which adds up to 360 degrees. So first of all, what do these frequencies add up to? Well, we know from the question that it's going to be 60. Now we want to have a column which adds up to 360. And again, it's a proportion question. How do we convert 60 into 360? Well, we multiply by 6. If you can't see that just by looking at it, that's fine. Just do 360 divided by 60 on your calculator, and that will give you 6. So each of those frequencies needs to be multiplied by 6. So we're going to multiply that by 6, that by 6, and that by 6. So 24 times 6 equals 144. 16 times 6 is 96. And 20 times 6 is 120. So those are going to have to be the angles that we do. Now the next bit I'm not going to be able to do accurately. I'm afraid the software I'm using doesn't allow me to use a protractor or anything. So what I would need to do, I'd get out my protractor, pop it on top of that line, and make sure when I count round I get 144 degrees. So that's going to be somewhere around like about here. Okay, then I would write in there P's 24. Now using this line now, I would now go around 96 degrees, which is going to be something like that. And that I'd write in there carats 16. And then I would just double check that the angle that I'm left with is exactly 120. And then I would write in there mushrooms 20. Okay, so I've written the name of the vegetable and the frequencies inside the pie chart. Okay, so the 45 books were sold at £1.20 each. So how much money did that bring in for Annie? 45 times £1.20 gives me £54. And then the 34 candles were sold at £1.50 each. So how much money did that bring in? 34 times £1.50 is £51. So adding those up, we've got £105 that's came in by way of the books and the candles. Now she got a total of £150, so the rest of the money must have been from the calendars. So how much money did she make from the calendars? Well, she got a total of 150, and then take away the £105 she got from the books and the candles, and that means she must have got £45 from the calendars. Okay, so £45 from the calendars. Now each calendar costs 90p each, so it's going to be easier for us to either work in pounds or pennies consistently here. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to convert the £45 into pennies, so times it by 100, so that's 4,500 pennies, and each calendar is 90p. So to work out how many calendars I sold, I'm going to do 4,500 divided by 90. 4,500 divided by 90 means that I sold 50 calendars. Now I could have gone down the other route of doing it in terms of pounds, so I could have done £45 divided by 0.9 pounds each. That would also have given me the answer of 50. Question 14, part A. Now the probabilities have to add up to a whole. So let's add up the three that we know. So 0.2 add 0.4 add 0.1 is 0.7. So 2 must be the rest to take us up to a whole. 1 minus 0.7 is 0.3. Part B, which number is the spinner least likely to land on? Well, that means the one with the smallest probability. So that's obviously the 4 with the probability of only 0.1. And then part C, Jake is going to spin the spinner 60 times. Work out an estimate for the number of times the spinner will land on 1. Well, when you spin it just the one time, the probability of getting a 1 is 0.2. So we take our 0.2, and that's the chances when you spin it one time, but we're spinning it 60 times, so you multiply that 60 by 0.2. 60 times 0.2 gives us 12. Question 15. So Bert puts a star on every card that has a multiple of 3 and a circle on every card that has a multiple of 5. Now, in order for you then to have a star and a circle on it, you're going to have to be both a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 5. So in order to be a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 5, you're going to have to be a multiple of 15. Okay, because it's only the multiples of 15 that are divisible by both 3 and 5. So let's just do our 15 times table all the way up to 100. So we've got 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 90. So how many cards is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Question 16. So we've got to write down the ratio of 450 grams to 15 grams, giving our answer in its simplest form. So our opening ratio is 450 to 15. Now we've got to give this in its simplest form, so we've got to break these down as far as we can go. Well, both these numbers are divisible by 15. So if we divide both sides by 15, 450 divided by 15 is 30. And obviously 15 divided by 15 is 1. So the ratio in its simplest form is 30 to 1. Question 17. So we're told that A to E is 4x, A to B is 2x plus 1, and that B to C is x plus 2. Now we're told that the pentagon has one line of symmetry, so that's obviously down here. Now that must mean that this length from C to D is the same as the length from B to C. So that must also be x plus 2. And similarly the length from E to D must be the same as the length from A to B. So that must be the 2x plus 1. Now we're told the perimeter is 18. So when we go all the way around the outside here, we get a total of 18. So let's go all the way around the outside. Let's start off at A. So I've got a 2x plus 1. Taking me from A to B, then an x plus 2, taking me from B to C, then another x plus 2, taking me from C to D, then a 2x plus 1, taking me from D to E, and then finally a 4x, taking me from E to A. And what I know is that this perimeter, this length, is in total 18. So let's go and simplify this. So gather up all our x's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 x's. Gather up our normal numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 10x plus 6 equals 18, which is what we had to show. Now for part B, we're being asked to find the value of x. So we need to solve the equation that 10x plus 6 equals 18. So we want to get x to be on its own. So leave the 10 for now and focus on undoing the plus 6. So the opposite of plus 6, we're going to take away 6 from both sides. So that leaves us with 10x on the left equaling 18 take away 6, which is 12. Now to undo this timesing by 10, we're going to divide by 10. So x equals 12 divided by 10, which is 1.2. X equals 1.2. Question 18. So the cost of the boat is 14,200 plus VAT at 20%. So you could work out what 20% of 14,200 is. So you could work out what 10% is, and then another 10% and add that on to 14,200. That would be absolutely fine. But given it's a calculator paper, I think it's easier to realise that if you've got a 20% increase, this means we're using a multiplier of 1.2. 30% increase would be 1.3, and so on. So the cost of the boat, including the VAT, is going to be 14,200 multiplied by 1.2. 14,200 times 1.2 is 17,040. Now he pays a deposit of £5,000, so that's what he's got to pay up front. So we take the deposit off that. The deposit is £5,000. So take that away, and that leaves us with 12,040. And then this is spread equally across 10 equal payments. So to work out what each of those 10 payments is going to be, we're going to be 12,040 divided by 10, which is going to be 1204. Question 19, part A. On the number line, show the inequality x is less than 4. Now, because it's not less than or equal, make sure you keep the circle on the 4 open. Don't fill it in. You would have filled it in if it was x was less than or equal to 4. Now, we want all the values which are less than 4, so we just got to draw an arrow going in that direction. Now for part B, we're told that y is an integer. That means y is a whole number, and we've got to write down all the whole numbers. Now this bit here, you've got to read from right to left. So that actually means y is greater than 3. So we know we're starting off a list with the whole numbers which are greater than 3. So that's 4, 5, and so on. Now reading the second part of it, this is as you would expect. That means that y is less than or equal to 7. So carrying on our list here, we've got 4, 5, and we're going to go all the way up to including 7. So 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the 3 is excluded because y is greater than 3, but the 7 is included because y is less than or equal to 7. Now for part C, we're being asked to solve that inequality. So we want to get all our x's onto the same side. The bigger number of x's is on the left, so I think it's easier to move all our x's to the left. So let's choose to take away x from both sides. So on the left, 3x take away x is 2x, and then we've still got the 5 there. That inequality sign, greater than or equals, remains unchanged. And on the right hand side, we've undone that x, so we're just left with the 17. So we've got all our x's on the left. I want to get all my normal numbers to the right, so I want to undo this plus 5. To do that, I'm going to take away 5 from both sides. So 2x is greater than or equal to 12. Then I'm going to divide by 2, leaving me with x being greater than or equal to 6. So x is greater than or equal to 6. Question 20, part A. Now to 3 significant figures, we're allowed 3 digits which aren't zeros. So that's going to be the 7, and then the 3, and then the next digit. Now do I stick with that 5 or round up to a 6? Well, I round up to a 6 because the fourth digit is 5 or above. So I round up to a 6, and then I have a 0 to get the 7, 3 and 6 into the appropriate columns. So my final answer is 7360, 3 digits which are not zeros. Now for part B, obviously we're going to use our calculator. It's so much easier if you use that fractions button, which is normally on a calculator, the third one down on the left. Sort of looks like that. And then as you open up that button, make sure you start off with your numerator by opening up the square root, and then you can put the 17 plus 4 squared underneath the square root. Use your arrow key to go down to the denominator and pop in 7.3 squared. And then if you do that successfully, it says you've got to write down all the figures on your calculator display. So that's going to be 0.1077981,356. Your calculator might have a different number of digits. Question 21. Now, to work out a percentage increase, you've got to work out the increase, divide that by the original amount, and then multiply all of that by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So the increase is for the amount that it's gone up by. So that's going to be 883 take away 245. So 883 take away 245, we get 638. Now we then divide that by the original amount, which was 245, and multiply that by 100. So using the fractions button, the third one down on the left, you can get your 638 divided by your 245, multiply that by 100, and we get 260.408%. Now it doesn't say what degree of accuracy you want, so it's up to you. So I'm going to go to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go to 260.41. Now if you've chosen to go to a different level of accuracy, that's absolutely fine. Question 22. So we've got to complete this table of values. Now this is a quadratic graph. And because we've got a positive x squared, it's going to be positive parabola shape, so a smiley face shape. Now a little tip with these, look out for this symmetry, alright, that's a symmetrical shape, so look out for any repeated y values. So there's a repeated y value, so just pop in that ripple there, okay, just think of this as ripples on a still pond. Now those values are going to be the same, so those values are going to be the same, those values are going to be the same. So we can just fill in some of these values by way of symmetry. So straight away I can say that value must be -4. I can see it's -4 if I was to substitute 0 in. I get 0 add 0 take away 4, which is -4. Now what it does mean though, I only need to work out the 2, I don't need to work it out for the -3. So when x equals 2, let's substitute 2 into this. What will y equal? Y is going to equal 2 squared plus 2 take away 4, which is 4 add 2, which is 6. 6 take away 4 is 2. So that value is 2 and that value is 2. What about when x equals 3 rather, when x equals 3? So substituting 3 into the equation, we get y equaling 3 squared add 3 take away 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 take away 4 is 8. So for part B we're being asked to plot these points. Okay, so just have a care with the y scale, okay? Every 2 baby squares represents 1, okay? Because that's 10 baby squares for 5. So when we plot the point -3, 2, we've got to go up 4 baby squares. -2, -2, we're going down 4 baby squares. -1, -4, we're going down 8 squares. 0, -4, the same. 1, -2, so down 4 squares. 2, 2, so that's up 4. Then 3, 8, so that's 16 squares. So then draw in your gentle curve. And just try and make sure that you keep a nice gentle curve, and don't give it a flat bottom, just keep it curved all the way around. Now for part C we're being asked to use the graph to estimate, well it says a solution to x squared plus x minus 4 equals 0. Well there are 2 solutions, okay? It's here where the graph is crossing the x-axis, and also here where the graph is crossing the x-axis. So either of these solutions would have done. So you could either have said -2.6, which is that solution there, or you could have said 1.6, which is that solution there. Question 23. So, Fran asked each of 40 students how many books they bought last year. The chart below shows the information. So let's see how many students for each column. So for this first column, how many students read between 0 and 4 books? That's 11. Then 5 to 9 books, that's 8. 10 to 14, that's 13. 15 to 19, that's 6. And 20 to 24, that's 2. Now, part A, work out the percentage of these students who bought 20 or more books. Well, only 2 of the students bought 20 or more books. So that's 2 out of the 40 students. So turn that into a percentage, multiply that by 100. 2 divided by 40, multiplied by 100, that is 5%. Those 2 students are 5%. Now for part B, we've got to show that an estimate for the number of books bought is 9.5. You must show all your workings. Now the reason this is an estimate is because we don't know, for example, how many books these 11 students bought. We just know it was between 0 and 4. Similar with these 8 students, we just know it was between 5 to 9 books. So the best we can do, we've got to make the assumption that they bought the average number of books, so straight down the middle. So what's halfway between 0 and 4? That's 2. So we're going to assume those 11 students bought 2 books. Halfway between 5 and 9 is 7. 10 and 14 is 12, 15 to 19 is 17, and 20 to 24 is 22. So we are going to assume these 11 students bought 2 books. So we're going to assume there's 11 students bought 2 books. And these 8 students bought 7 books. These 13 students bought 12 books. Those 6 students bought 17 books. And those 2 students bought 22 books. So that allows us to work out the total number of books bought. Okay, 11 2s are 22, 7 8s are 56, 13 times 12 is 156, 6 times 17 is 102, and 2 lots of 22 is 44. So how many books is that in total? We'll add up that column. 22, add 56, add 156, add 102, add 44. We get 380 books. Now that's 380 books we've estimated being bought across the 40 students. So how many books is that per student? Do 380 divided by 40. And we do indeed get 9.5 books, which is what we were asked to show. Question 24. So, it was 475 metres in length, and that took her 1 minute and 54 seconds. Now, I think it's going to be easier if we just sort of work in seconds and then convert back to minutes and seconds at the end. So, 1 minute and 54 seconds is 60 seconds for the minute plus the 54 seconds, so that's 114 seconds. So the 475 metres took her 114 seconds. Right, now assuming she travels at the same speed all the time, how long would it take her to complete a 700 metre race? So let's start off by going back to how long it would take her to complete 1 metre. Okay, so to do 1 metre, we're going to have to divide by 475. So do 114 divided by 475. And we can see that it takes her 0.24 seconds to cover every single metre. So if it was 700 metres, it's going to take us 700 times as far. So we're going to times that by 700. So 0.24 times 700, which is 168 seconds. Now we want to go and convert that into minutes and seconds. So 2 minutes is going to be 120 seconds, and then 48 seconds left. So 168 seconds is the same as 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Now we're told that Lara's average speed actually increases the further she goes. How does this affect your answer to part A? Well, if she's going faster later on, then it's going to take her less time to finish it, isn't it? So, Lara would take less time to finish the race. Question 25. So we're told the size of angle B to the size of angle A is 3 to 2. So let's go and call that 3x and that 2x. Okay, it's the ratio is 3 to 2. Now, what do we know about those two angles A and B? Well, together they must add up to 90 degrees, because angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees, and this angle at C is 90. So we know that 3x plus 2x equals 90 degrees. So 5x equals 90. So x equals 90 divided by 5. 90 divided by 5, which is 18. So this angle here must be 2 lots of 18, which is 36 degrees. And this angle here must be 3 lots of 18, which is 54 degrees. Now, we're being asked to work out the length from A to B. Okay, now so it doesn't matter which angle we do it from. Let's go and do it from the point of view of angle A. So we've been asked to work out the length from A to B. So that is the hypotenuse. That's the hypotenuse. And from the point of view of the context of being at angle A, the 14 is our adjacent side. So which of these trig ratios is involving adjacent and a hypotenuse? That's cosine. Okay, remember, you need some way of remembering these three ratios. So this is the cosine one. Okay, so we're going to be saying the cosine of angle A, the cosine of 36 degrees equals our adjacent side divided by our hypotenuse. Now we've got to do a little bit of work here to make AB the subject. So multiply both sides by AB. So AB times cos 36 equals 14. And then divide both sides by cos 36. So AB equals 14 divided by cos 36. So go and get your calculator out and do 14 divided by cos 36. Make sure your calculator is in degrees mode. And we get an answer of 17.304 ... The question asks for the answer to be to 3 significant figures. So that's going to be 17.3. Question 26, so we're being asked to write down the nth term expression. So, step 1, see how much you're going up by each time. And we can see we're going up by 6, consistently going up by 6's. So the first part of our expression is 6n. Had we been going up in 5's, it would have been 5n. Now, you then need to do a little adjustment. So the adjustment you need to tag onto is to take into account this 0th term. So it doesn't actually exist, but it would be the term that will become before the first term. Okay. Now working right to left, you can see we're going down by 6's each time. So to work out this 0th term, it's going to be 5 take away 6, which is minus 1. So we just have to tag a minus 1 onto the end. And that is our nth term expression.